Hey there, and welcome to the next part of this course. Here we're going to talk about the adjustments I've done. Alright? I want to adapt everything that would be, the typographies a little bit more. And I liked kind of just retaking what I was saying before, using the trash hand as my main typography. I'm going to put in this part here a section in which I'm going to put in different facts. Interesting facts on the topic of the environment. And I've decided to put in kind of a secondary heading and a subheading within this little section. So I'm going to choose a secondary typography. I'm going to reduce the size to take away some of its importance, as the importance is in the heading. This would be something a bit more descriptive. I'm going to adjust it and align it so it's all in the same area. And I'm going to get rid of some of the words because this much text in so little space is a little bit saturating. So now we would have the title, the heading, and the subheading. I'm going to change the color to make it stand out even more. And I'm also going to fit in a frame. I'm going to fit it in a frame. So I can just separate it a little bit. What I'm not sure about is if this color is... Well, I'll have to unify it this way anyway, when it all starts to look a bit more, complete. In this square that I've created, I'm going to fit the rest of the information I'm missing. I have to make sure it's good, so there's no edges outside the lines. That would ruin our design. That would make it look terrible. What I'm going to do is round a little the edges because I can see that everything I'm using right now has a sort of soft aesthetic, and a square frame with those pointy edges is going to look a little tedious. It just wouldn't fit in with what I have in mind. It's much better this way. Nobody loses an eye this way. Anyway. Okay. We have to remember to let the text breathe a little bit. So let's adjust the top bit so that we don't make it too suffocating. I'm going to add this little flower as a little detail to make everything a little more related. Okay, so I have to erase some of the ends of this line because we can see inside and it doesn't look too good. Okay, that's better. All right, so now we have all of this here. I'm going to include the information inside. And the tone I'm going to choose is going to be the one in the background because it combines better. Little by little, I'll just add this in. I've got to make sure I separate this so that I don't put too much text in there. We just have to do the last one. I'm going to adjust it a little bit. And then we would have our second information box. And well, the last thing we're going to do regarding the information is, what I wanted to include some kind of statistics. What I've decided to do is take the theme of the pollution and contamination of the countries that emit the most CO2 of our planet. As you can see, I've just changed what I've been saying for a while that I should have done before, but I just didn't know really how to fit it in. The main typography is going to be the one on the headings, and in the subheading, we'll have the secondary one. So I'm just going to change this a little. I'm going to give it a little more space so that it can breathe. Perfect. And then we would have to change this as well because as it is now, it just wouldn't fit in. So we're going to adjust it now. I'm going to change these 3 names to Quicksand, the Quicksand font. If you have to reduce the size of the writing a little bit, don't be afraid of doing that. Perfect. There we have Wangari. She's ready. She's ready to go. See how everything just fits in a little bit more? I just have to adjust the rest of it so it doesn't clash too much. All right, perfect. Can you see how all of those small little details are becoming better as you advance in your work? So you don't have to have everything established. Maybe what looks good in the beginning or that you liked. Maybe later it's going to look bad, or you might want to change it, or you might just want to try something else. All right, so from here, what we're going to do is generate our board. We're going to look for some facts on the internet, of course, and from there, we're going to make a kind of graphic representation of the data we've found. Okay, so I've found some things like that. Well, to start with, I'm going to point out a few countries whose pollution is going to be represented with these bars here. There are 4 countries. You know who you are. And I'm going to lead with China for the country that pollutes the most. Underneath, we're going to add in the names because without the information, that fundamental information, well, people won't know what the hell we're talking about. So we have to keep this in mind. Don't forget anything, as you might get mixed up. The second one would be the USA. Third is India. And last, we would have Russia. And well, if you want to include even more data, you could add in the level of CO2 that these countries have. It's something that's a bit more secondary, as we can see it in the graph. But hey, the more information you put in there, the better it's going to be for the people who are seeing it. So the data I'm putting in is all from 2016. This is something that I could also put in, but, well, it looks okay like this. I'm not going to go too far. All right, so here we would have our final part. And lastly, what we're going to do is include the information, the references of what we got, of where we got the information that we're putting in there. It has to fit in a little bit with the design's aesthetic. So we're going to try and not let it be too striking, but it has to be present. Well, this would be the result, the end result of what we have here. The last thing we have to do is adjust some of the parameters and stuff. If you don't feel very sure about proportions, you can use the rulers to fit them in, make a small frame. The only thing I have left to do is add in some details, shading. Particularly, we're going to add in some textures in Photoshop. So I'll see you guys in the next lesson. Bye.